Hello and welcome to IMTEX 2023. Today with us we have Mr. Venkatesan from Kennametal. Let's talk about some sort of ESG goals with him. Mr. Venkatesan, thank you for joining us here. Now, India is, have nurtured that habit of going towards net zero emissions. Some of the companies I have met earlier and have interviewed, they are also have plans to go, net zero, carbon emission, carbon neutral. What is Kennametal has to do? What is Kennametal's future plans?
So first of all, Kennametal is a ESG-oriented organization globally. We have already published a second ESG report in terms of a global framework. Now, when we look at ESG, right, we have the three pieces. One is the environment, which is the E. So let me go a little bit further on that. So what we do as a company is look at carbon footprint reduction, energy efficiency across all our manufacturing plants. So it also applies to our Bangalore facility. Water efficiency, effluent management. So everything related to emission, to reducing carbon footprint, including our supply chain, is something we are looking very seriously, and also educating our partners how they can get to a standard which is the global standard, to make sure that we are contributing to the climate change actions committed by the government of India. Right. So that's just on the E piece. On social piece, I'll just talk about a couple of initiatives. We are a lot of focus on diversity of inclusion. We are starting with gender now, but we are also broadening that scope. Globally, diversity inclusion is a big key area for Kennametal. In terms of, you can take race, ethnicity, in terms of differently able. So we are looking at across categories of diversity and also community around us. Right, when you talk about social, as a corporate, responsible corporate, we are also looking at how we can strengthen the community around us. For example, we did a very large water-related project in a park very close to Kennametal in Bangalore, which improves the water table by at least 4 feet, right, in and around the facility. So these are areas what we are doing. So looking at lake renovation, so a lot of projects which will impact the communities where we live in, and that's it's a big impact. And governance, again, we are very strong on code of conduct and ethics, and we bring that practice to all our partners and suppliers, both back end, which is all our suppliers, and front end, which is our channel partners. So I think at a very high level, this is what we are doing. And as you know, Kennametal in India is a listed entity, and we are also responsible for the BRSR reporting, right? So we are a top 1,000. We are part of the top 1,000 listed entities. So hence the ESG easily flows into for us from the BRSR perspective. So we are looking at just not practicing, but living and breathing the ESG principles.
Thank you so much for to start with this on this note. One of the main factor about Kennametal, if I study your company, it's R&D. It's been imbibed in Kennametal's journey throughout the year, and it's been happening for the generations. So how this entire R&D factor is you are passing out to your end consumers?
Yeah, first of all, you asked a very relevant question, right? Because a lot of people ask, there are some companies which are very R&D focused, right? Kennametal is a customer-oriented, process-oriented, engineering problem-solving company, right? If you look at all our people, they are engineers who are very analytical and mathematical. So they focus on problem-solving. So that is an approach which we bring to a customer. When customer has a new project, a new solution, a new problem to solve, one of the companies they look for is Kennametal in terms of solutions, because we bring in that years of expertise, right? The engineering problem-solving mindset. So we get elated when there is a problem because our engineers are, okay, let me go and try to solve, right? Exactly. So that's where we bring in value to our customers, and we partner with our customers. We don't sell to them. We help them solve their problems or achieve their finish and productivity. Thereby we become a preferred supplier. So that's the approach we take, and that's why the R&D piece and application piece becomes a very crucial part for us.
But how do you see, as far as IMTEX is concerned, we all are meeting after almost 4 years. So how do you see the vibe around IMTEX and the kind of a crowd which has come, the customer which has come? How do you see the response?
See, first of all, IMTEX is happening after 4 years. And first thing what I see is the energy levels. Phenomenal energy level. What you see, just not in the participants, everybody walking in is highly energized. One, it also reflects where India is today, right? A lot of things are going for us. We took the presidency of G20 and the resultant B20. We see a lot of optimism. We are bucking the global recession trend today, right? We are above 6% of GDP growth. and it's driven by domestic consumption. Now, that confidence you can see when you look at the faces of people who are walking in, the faces of exhibitors. There is a lot of positiveness and happiness, right? So that is what I would define, which only comes when you're so confident of your future.
That's what I said. When I walked in any hall, I have seen the vibe.
Yes.
It's more of a positive vibe.
Yes.
And I guess over the period of the last 4 years, each and every company who have participated in IMTEX wants to showcase what they have done in the past 4 years and what they're going to do in the next couple of years. So the question is what are the evolving technologies that the Kennametal is going to bring in on table in the next couple of years for various sectors?
See, more than sectors, if you look at the evolution of industry in India, now aerospace is a sector which is becoming very large, thanks to all the policies and how government is helping investments into the country. Now, Kennametal has a lot of technology products which help manufacturing of components for aerospace. Now, because we are very well established in both Western Europe and US, obviously two large bases for aerospace component manufacturing. So we are bringing those technologies into the country, which today there are no need for. So we are bringing in a lot of new technologies into the country, and we are also stepping up in terms of, because when you talk about ESG, you're also talking about increase in productivity, lower wastage, better energy efficiency. So we're bringing in products which support that part too, right? So those are the two pieces what we see, but what we see is we help the industry to grow in a manner which is very responsible. And that's what we are bringing in technology into the country. And I think we are in a very good place as a country, because we are no longer looking at, let's say, a lower cost manufacturing. We're looking at, okay, productivity, higher technology, innovation. So I think that's where Kennametal is very keen to play a role in the growth of the country.
So according to you, as we see the current trends, as far as the participation of or the you can say procurement of Indian machine tools and cutting sector is concerned, it is going beyond automotive and auto components nowadays. It is now going to aerospace and defense. But other than aerospace defense, which are the sectors you think have generated more demand for this industry?
See, now we are getting more broad-based. India traditionally, if you look at manufacturing, or any manufacturing performance, this was auto-driven for many, many decades, which is rightfully so, right? Now we see, for example, infrastructure industry. Anybody who's in supplying any kind of equipment to infrastructure, when I say infrastructure, it could be roads, dams, ports, bridges, railways, everything. That's a completely very large sector which is coming into the country because obviously of the infrastructure expansion, which was not the case earlier, right? You look at energy sector, right? With the need for energy, wind turbines, your thermal power plants, energy is getting very interesting. So that's the other sector which is going to boom in the country because again consumption driven, energy needs are higher. Mining, right? Mining is again starting to boom. After many years, we are seeing mining becoming a big significantly gone up, and we still have a lot of minerals in the country, right? So mining is a sector which is, so if you look at automotive is continuing to grow, but we are seeing an acceleration in aerospace, energy, defense, railways, infrastructure, right? Capital goods, and that is a foundation of an economy, right? These are all, for example, rail, roads, are all foundation of economy, and that grows. It's going to need new kinds of equipment, higher tooling consumption, and there's space for everyone, right? Everybody in the industry is going to grow because of it.
Now, what is your growth path? What is your strategy to achieve certain sort of a growth? You must have targets in your mind in a couple of years. Could you please tell us about your strategies?
So the way we are looking at this in terms of one, grow with the industry, obviously, plus our target is can we grow in multiples of the industry, because India is going to be a fast growing market. Let's say the market is going to grow at 10 to 12%. 10 to 12% is not good enough. You need to be 1.5x to 2x of the market. That's the right way to grow in a growing economy. So that's something which we are looking at, and very specifically because we play very well when it comes to the sectors what we spoke, aerospace, energy, oil and gas, infrastructure is all very good positions for Kennametal globally, and the solutions what we can offer to the customers in the country. So that's the way we are looking at. The other area is equally bridging the capabilities in the country in terms of manufacturing and supply chain. So recently, if you look at, we made an announcement in November of opening of a very large insert capacity plant in our existing facility, but it's a new building, which almost doubles our capacity. And we have invested ahead of time, knowing that we will need that level of capacity to support the growth in the country. So what we are looking at is how do you bring in just not volume capacity increase, but also technology upgradation and modernization so that to match up to the current needs of the market. So if you look at the machines, what all the exhibitors are showing, it's all current age machines, right? They are all Industry 4.0. They are all connected devices. So your tools have to also be at the same level. So we're also modernizing our old plant sequentially so that we meet the requirements of the customer.
So one of the important questions that I have already asked to others, and it has been continuously popping up, is the PLI scheme for this particular sector industry. Government is not so keen, considering they are more towards auto, they are going for aerospace, they are going for the defense, they are going for other sectors. But this is the industry where it also requires more of a hand-holding of the government or the push from the government as far as from the PLI scheme. What is your suggestions? What is your thought process on the same?
So let me look at, when I talk about it, I'll talk more from the machine tools, right? The machines what we built. So today India is a net importer of machines. If you classify trade balances or trade differences on major categories, when you leave the big ones like, let's say, electronics, gold, oil, you'll see that capital equipment machinery stands out big in terms of we are a net importer, and by a big margin, the gap between export-import and also the net volume what we import is extremely high. And with a country which is going to grow so rapidly in manufacturing, we need more and more local manufacturing. And one of the things what we can look at to encourage more investments in the country is, it can be under any umbrella. It can be in PLI or some other incentive scheme, but it will really help the industry as such to lower the dependence and be more self-sufficient if we have a much more broader manufacturing base for MTB industry, which is the machine tool industry as a whole. This is for the machines, because I think the difference is starkly very large.
Correct. Because we import a lot of machines, and that's one of the major impediment for the India as far as to grow in this market itself, because the import substitute is more than the local substitute itself. So how do we, that's my point, how do we do that? Is just the government or the local players or the global players who are already set up can set up their own manufacturing base here and grow it more globally?
See, it has to be, it's not, there is no one answer to this, right? It is a collective effort. When I say collective effort, it should come from the Indian machine builders, it is also the policy makers, and it is a representation what we need to do, because the government always listens, right? But we need to go and ask what we want to support the industry, and that's something which we have to collectively do. And that should be able to help in terms of putting what support is required to grow the industry. It need not be just Indian industry. It could be also global players investing in India to make products in India for India, right? So it can benefit anyone, but it should be a policy to support self-sufficiency. So I'll talk about self-sufficiency because that's something that's very required when you're looking at capital equipment.
Any plans for inorganic growth?
If at all there is, you'll be the first to know.
Thank you so much for joining us, sir.